continue on with these convo that we were having yesterday, man. Obviously, we're talking the wide receivers and their official visits, but we did want to come back to you and talk about the wide receivers that did have combine meetings with the squad as well, because as we already know, some correlation there, man. Whether we're talking combine meetings, whether we're talking pro days, whether we're talking official visits, all of that information lets you know the direction the team is going in terms of the player types, along with, just the type of player that we're looking for. If we're looking at high-end receivers, well, don't be surprised if we take one early. If we're looking at middle to the back end of the draft receivers, well, that should reflect in terms of how we would go about, doing that business, stuff like that. So with that being the case, combine meetings that we did have, we met with 4 wide receivers. Jackson Smith-Njigba, the wide receiver out of USC. Zay Flowers, we've talked about him a good amount now in these past couple of days. Wide receiver out of Boston College. Jalen Hyatt, the wide receiver from Tennessee. And then Parker Washington, the wide receiver out of Penn State. Quick breakdown on all of these dudes, man. Jackson Smith-Njigba, we know him. Obviously came on the scene. What was that? Not this past season, the year before.
He was hurt all last year.
Yeah, I forget what bowl game it was though. That what was the one they played in where he went crazy in the game?
Well, he led all those Ohio State receivers in receiving yards. He had like 1,600, and they still had Garrett Wilson and Olave on that team.
But it was oh my gosh, it wasn't the Fiesta Bowl. Might have been Rose Bowl. But he went out there and obviously was like 15 catch, 300-something receiving yards, touch paint a couple of times. Really just put on a masterclass, man. But when you watch him, man, he's a smooth receiver. Could play outside, but he dominates you in the slot. Combat catch guy, creates separation. Love his run after ability. And he's a tough guy to tackle. Natural hands catcher. Was extremely productive in 2021. He dealt with the hammy in 2022. That was the big thing. But when you're watching him, he's not necessarily a blazer in terms of just run by you, electric speed, and he's not going to make you miss a lot of times. But when we talk about him being a tough tackle, it's because of once he gets the ball in his hands, how hard he's running, how physical of a player he is, but he doesn't have a ton of wiggle with him. Zay Flowers, man, we talked about him a ton yesterday. If y'all have not tapped in on Zay, y'all need to check him out. That is little AB in terms of, little Antonio Brown. We don't need to be AB just yet. Antonio Brown on the field, okay? Can run routes, man. Explosive in and out of his breaks. Love his start-stop ability. Will go up and get the ball, though, man. Not afraid to be aggressive. And at the same time, man, you can see him be used in different ways, too, man, whether you're talking some of the reverses, stuff like that, man, because once he gets that ball, he does run it just like he's running back, man. He's trying to take this thing to the house, cutting up, stiff arm, and just a tough player. Like I said, just looks like AB. That's what it looks like, man. But extremely excited about him. Glad we're meeting with this dude. And then from there, Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee. Explosive, elite, speed receiver. You have to respect him when he's on that field. Think Ted Ginn Jr., Deshaun Jackson. I'm trying to think any of these other just Blazers when they line up outside. Be alert because he could take the top off of defense. Terms of him, more so still just a vertical threat guy. He was schemed open. Sometimes I would feel like when you watch him do some of his crossing routes and some of the route stuff to get him vertical, I want to just see him more so just can he beat standalone man-to-man press versus it having to be him being off the ball or him being motion and things like that. But that was how they ran their offense at Tennessee. They didn't make him have to stay on that line like we would do in certain NFL formations where you would have to deal with just press after press after press. So that's my only concern with him. And when you do get hands on him, you can't reroute him because he is on the thinner side. So he does get moved when a guy does get his hands on him. But because he's so fast, that speed, it makes a lot of defenders scared. And that's the beauty of Jalen, man. And then the last one, like we said, was Parker Washington, man. Super productive slot receiver, though, man. In terms of how I see him, man, I think he cooks right in there. Good right after. I like this physicality. You watch him in the combat catch situations. I think he's good there as well. And he's shifty. But it's weird because he's shifty, but he doesn't make a ton of people miss. But when you watch him, it's like, yo, that should work. These moves should work a little bit better than what they actually do. But other than that, he does have the one extra cheat code than any of these other guys. Well, Zay Flowers has a cheat code, but Parker Washington has a cheat code. He is Josh Dobbs' cousin. So that does count. That's a bloodline.
Addison's got a cheat code too.
Yes. Yeah, technically he does. Yeah, Addison does. Yeah, so we got some cheat codes in here, but that is one of the Parker Washington cheat codes. He is a direct affiliate of a true blood, a blue blood. You know what I'm saying? Dobbs was homegrown. Dobbs is pure blood. So he has a pure blood connection. So that's a huge leg up for him.
I thought you were going to say he's able to go up and get the ball too.
I mean, he can.
For his small size, that's what really impressed me.
Yeah, when you talk about the combat catches, like he will rise up on you. It's weird, like, because you say he's little, but he jumps. He's not afraid to go get that rock, bro. That ball in the air, he's going to get it, man.
No, I wasn't expecting that when I first just saw him line up. I'm like, all right, this just a little slot receiver.
You shouldn't be a combat catch guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's jumping up and mossing people. Here's my thing with these receivers. Mm-hmm. I think I'd be fine with those top three if we took them at 17.
Okay.
And Njigba, Zay Flowers, or Addison. Any of the three.
I'm with you on that.
I'd be fine with it. It'd be amazing if somehow we got any of them at 32, but I don't know if that's happening.
Yeah.
With Hyatt, a lot of people are mocking him to the second. Mm-hmm. That's too high for me. I don't think he doesn't have a bag of moves.
It's boom or bust.
He's fast, short. Maybe reminds me a little bit of Mike Wallace. Yes, not as fast.
Mike Wallace, D-Jax, Ted Ginn Jr. They are all what? I think D-Jax probably was the most versatile in terms of wiggle, but all three of them had one thing in common. They are elite straight line, and they're going to give you verticals and stops. Verticals and stops, or you try to scheme them up on something where they, catching it in motion and then getting a chance to get a foot race. That's Jalen, man. Yeah, I don't see a lot of route running with it, man.
I kind of want route running.
Fair enough.
Kind of.
Yeah, I can get that. And that's a thing, too, when you're talking Jalen, like, you have to know what you're signing up for.
Because I don't think Hyatt's as fast as any of those guys you mentioned. He ran a 4.4. That is fast, yeah. And you could see it on the screen. It's just
he
how
plays
fast. And I don't think it's to that level where it's, wow, second rounder or even first rounder. This is game changing.
See, to me, I feel like he has the acceleration, but his top end kind of isn't the same as when you talk Ted Ginn, Deshaun Jackson, and Mike. I feel like those guys had the acceleration, but then they also had that second gear where when they up there, it's like they can still separate. And I think that's the difference. But Jalen, he had his acceleration, the way that he's able to get out of that thing, it puts these corners on high alert. But that's the difference though when you're talking about those other guys. They have world-class, elite speed, whereas he still is fast as heck out there, but it's just not going to be to the same extent as those guys. Yeah.
If you told me we were getting him in the third, I'm fine with it.
See, I don't think you get him at 80 though, bro.
Yeah, a lot of people have him. A lot of people have him going in the second round.
Yeah.
With Washington, I think he's that third or fourth round guy for us.
Oh yeah.
No, if we want to pass up
the Tank Dell type,
right.
Yeah, he's in that convo.
I haven't exactly seen where he's been getting mocked to, but I haven't seen him in the first two rounds. I know that. So third and after, I'm good with Washington.
Like Parker Washington, Tank Dell, to me, those two fit that middle tier. That
some of those dudes we were talking about yesterday too.
Yeah, good amount of those dudes we talked to yesterday.
Mingo, Jones, and Reed.
Where you're like, if you don't want to break the bank on one of these, higher end talents, but you're still looking for something that's going to be really good, maybe not be the standalone dog that you want, but if you're putting them in an offense that already has a George Pickens and a Deontay and a Pat Freiermuth, maybe it works out better because you don't feel as pressed to feed him. Whereas if you take a receiver at 17, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, any of these type of dudes, what are we going to be talking about? To justify that pick, we got to feed them.